Hello. The first thing I want to do is thank you. If you looked at the title of this video and you still clicked, then you are definitely part of the solution to this problem. So thank you. My name's Kane Fitzpatrick. The reason I'm making this video is on the weekend I was given the opportunity to talk about my story with a large group of people that I'd never met before about my story with suicide. And the response I got from that was overwhelmingly positive. Some of the responses I received were that it gave people the strength to realise they have demons inside. It gave people the strength to know that suicide is something that can be talked about. It allowed people to open up their own feelings to me, to someone they'd never met before. And that's, personally, I think that's going to go a long way for people for us to fix the problem, which is suicide. So that's what I believe. Talking about suicide, we're going to fix the problem. So what I'm going to do in this video is tell you my story around suicide. And if this video in any way helps someone either suffering or someone on the outside looking in, then I believe this video will be a success for that. So now, if you let me, I will tell you about my story with suicide. Alright, so it starts about 10 years ago. My father and I lived together, and my father married us. He had a second marriage, which for some reasons it ended up in divorce. This is the beginning that led to my dad's suicide. And when I talk about my dad's suicide, I say it took my dad 7 years to kill himself, and it did. Because right from what I just said, I'm going to talk about what happened over the next few years very quickly. My dad had his second divorce. My dad became an alcoholic. He lost his house, lost his business. My father and myself, our relationship, we still cared about a lot of each other, but we were both very angry towards each other for multiple reasons. And it led to a deterioration in our relationship. I eventually moved away to finish high school. And in that time, my dad had moved to the same town as me as well. We both moved in with each other again, and things seemed positive, things seemed fine. But my dad, like many men in Australia, and myself included, we're very good at bottling things up, we're very good at hiding things, and I missed the signals, unfortunately, over this 7 years. And then one day my dad died from suicide. So I've lost my father. Now what I'm going to say is I can understand how people feel when you lose someone through suicide, whether it be a friend, a family member, even a friend of a friend. The ripple effect from suicide is ridiculous. Other side to my story, where I believe I can see both sides of the picture, is not long before my dad died from suicide, I attempted suicide. And I'm extremely lucky to obviously be here and say that I survived. And that was, I won't talk about my attempt at suicide, but I will talk about how I think I survived because of the friends I had around me at that time, which are still my best friends. And some of them were brutally honest with me, which I think for me helped a lot. I realised what effect it has on people around you. So therefore, I was lucky enough to stick around. And let me talk a little bit further about that. Is since then I told my brother, I told my father about it, and I told my mother. I promised my brother I'm going to live longer than him. My brother's younger than me, so that says something, doesn't it? And that's my story on both sides of suicide. So therefore, I believe I can understand both sides. If you're someone suffering, I understand how it feels to be at that point where you think it's the only option you have left, and what you think it will do for people around you. I also see the other side of the picture, people that have lost someone through suicide. Now, what I'm basically telling you that story for is I'm putting myself out there with this video for anyone that wants to talk to me about suicide. Do it. Whether you know me or not, get in contact with me and I'm going to be happy to talk to you. Because I think if we all can learn to talk to each other, whether we know each other or not, that's the solution to this problem. So, yeah. Now I want to share with you a few statistics on suicide in Australia, just a few at the moment. Firstly, Western Australia is the only state that had an increase in the rate of suicide over a period of years in the last decade, which is pretty scary considering we are one of the most wealthy states in Australia. We have the resources, we should have the support, yet it happens to happen to everyone. No matter what support you have, people do have these demons. 3 out of 5 suicides, death by suicides, are male, and that's not taking anything away from suicides of females. That it's bad for everyone. I'm just sharing the statistics with you. And the last one, which I've only just found out tonight, which may seem like nothing, but when you think about how well off we are in Australia as a country, Australia is the 50th wealth country worldwide, 50th highest death rate by suicide. So I think if you put that up against where we stand in the world financially, with the services that are available to us and the resources we have, it's scary to think that we're still so high in the scheme of things with that rate of suicide. Now I want to talk about what I have been talking about with people on the weekend about how I believe we can fix the problem and how we can all help each other to find the solution. And I'm one of the lucky ones. I can be very open about suicide, and I believe that's why I should be making this video, to help anyone. But what I believe is, people suffering, you need to find an avenue to open up. I never found an avenue. I'm only here because my attempt at suicide failed. So if people can find something to open up before they get to that point, you're going to survive. People on the outside looking in, we need to start learning the signals, and we need to start acting on them. I missed the signals to my father, and therefore he died from suicide. But hindsight will always be 20/20. If you are someone that's lost someone through suicide, never blame yourself. It's never your fault. So just take that in. Realise that you can't blame yourself. You can always look back and think, maybe I could have, but unfortunately you couldn't. So on that, I want to talk about my favourite initiative at the moment is probably Are You OK Day, which unfortunately should be Are You OK every day. We should all be able to ask our friends if they're okay. And whether we ask them every day or not, we should be able to ask them. And if they can talk to you, what I want to say is, it's harder for someone suffering to talk than it is for someone to ask. And a lot of the times, if someone is asked, then instantly it'll come up, or they'll be able to talk. They will have found their avenue to open up, and that avenue will be you. And if you do that, thank you. But if you do ask someone if they're okay, and you don't think they've opened up to you enough, and you still think that they're in this problem, speak to their family. Have the courage to talk to their family. And there's other organisations as well. Go out and find someone and tell them that you think this person is suffering, because there are people that are out there which will be able to help. Whether you think you can or not, you'll be able to find someone that can help. So what I will do is I'm going to leave a few links in the description of this video, which I believe are some of the key organisations that are going to be able to help with the problem. And I also want to just put out one more time that if anyone wants to talk to me, please feel free to contact me. I'm going to listen to you, and I want to be able to help you. So that's what this video is all about, is me hopefully sharing enough of the story to get people to realise that we can fix the problem ourselves, all of us. Okay? So thank you for watching, and best of luck. Goodbye.